First thing to do making pizza is to make the dough. So you want some 00 type of flour, which is a nice fine flour, some yeast, salt, some water, and maybe a teaspoon of sugar as well, and that's it. So I'll get into that, eh? We'll mix it all together and see what happens. Just giving the crayfish tails a bit of a cook up. Probably about 5 minutes in the water. You don't want them to cook through because you want to cook on the pizza as well. So we'll give those 5 minutes to cook there and take them out and yeah, keep going. We've got the dough that far. Now you've just got to knead it. Because once we've kneaded it, we're going to, you want it to sit for about an hour. So it rises and doubles in size. A little bit more flour. And we'll come back to that a bit later. Now that's the dough kneaded. Now it's just going to sit for an hour, hour and a half, and you'll see that size ball there will double in size. We'll just give it a cover with some cling wrap and yeah, leave it for about an hour and a half. So for the topping for the pizza, we're going to fry up some bacon. We're going to fry up some red onion, crayfish tails of course, sliced tomato, avocado, and I like cheddar cheese on this type of pizza. Mozzarella's a bit bland and the cheddar's got a bit more flavour, so I'll get all that chopped up and we'll come back. Okay, so into the pan. Good splash of Popeye's girlfriend. And which we add the cut up red onions. We're going to fry them off for a while, and then we're going to add the bacon in there, and yeah, we will start taking shape. Onions are frying down, so we'll just put in the chopped bacon. Stir that through. It doesn't have to cook fully in there because it's still going to cook in the oven on the pizza anyway, so we'll do that. You'll often hear me talk about bush chooks in my cooking videos. Now the bush chook it's an Australian, or a West Australian term anyway, for a emu that runs around in the bush. So emu export becomes a bush chook. As you can see, the dough has now doubled in size. So we're going to take it out, flatten it and roll it. And there's our toppings, crayfish, tomatoes and avocado. And that's the mix of fried red onions because they're sweet with some bacon through it. So let's put it all together. Okay, now there's the dough. I don't like using a rolling pin because as you can see it's very light, very fluffy. I don't like to push all the air out, so I use my hands and spread it, and that will keep the crust light. It will rise, it'll be nice and fluffy, and yeah, you haven't pushed all the air out. That's the main thing. I mean, you don't. Here we go. Make sure you push it up against the sides all the way around so you get a nice crust. Now we let that rise for about another 10 or 15 minutes while it sits there, and then we'll put the toppings in. Beautiful. Okay, I'm just going to put some, it's just a jar of tomato puree, basically. That's going on. Don't forget, don't cook without the chook. We're just going to swish that around. I'll get that done and we'll come back and put some more toppings on. Okay, let's start the toppings. A bit of cheese. Let's get this cheese. As I said, I'm using cheddar. I think mozzarella doesn't have enough flavour sometimes for a pizza. You don't use as much cheddar because it's a bit oilier, but it's got a lot more flavour, especially with things like crayfish. So I put just a bit of a layer of that first. Next we go to the fresh tomatoes. Now you want a good layer of that. It sort of mixes in well with the sauce. Makes a nice tomatoey sort of a base, which is always good if you like tomatoes. If you don't like tomatoes, well, God, I don't know what to say. Okay, next on we're going with the onion and the bacon. Now you give that a good old covering here. It's all mixed together and sautéed together. And that red onion really gives it a beautiful sweet flavour. And the bacon, I find, goes beautifully with any seafood, especially crayfish. I'll be back in 1 sec. Okay, we're just going to put on a few mixed herbs, just not a lot, just a few for a bit of flavour there. Makes it yum. Then we're going with the cray. All over the top, of course. Good, it's going to be a beauty. And then finally, we're just going to top it off, with some sliced avocado. Just try and spread it out a bit there so everyone gets a bit on their pieces. And that's nearly it. What we just finished off with is just the last cheese over the top. Okay, and then that goes into the oven for around 10-12 minutes on 240, 260. And into the oven we're going. As I say, 260. I mean, I cook it normally outside in the wood-fired oven, but tonight I'm just doing it inside, just so everyone's got an oven. You can all do your own pizza. So there you go. See it in about 10 or 15. Okay, it's been 10 minutes at 260. Looking good. Let's get her out. Let her set for 5, and then we'll cut this little baby up. There you go, there's my take on crayfish homemade pizza. Looks good. And there she is. As you can see, it's risen. So the main reason it rises, well, apart from the yeast, is because when you roll your dough, you don't roll it. You don't flatten it out and take all the air out. You do it with your hand. And let's see if there's a bit of crunch on the outside. Let's test this puppy out. A bit hard with one hand, but anyhow. Not too much crunch, but it's looking okay. Bit of a crunch there. Delicious. That is good. One crayfish pizza, done and dusted. Enjoy.